Many Pittsburgh Steelers fans out there believe that Russell Wilson still has the ability to be a good quarterback. I strongly disagree with that. They try to put the blame on Sean Payton for why Russell Wilson failed to deliver up to the level of expectations that Broncos Nation had for him when they first traded for this dude. They made him one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league, and he didn't look like it anytime you turn on the Broncos game. With the Denver Broncos deciding to move on from Russell Wilson, yes, it does hurt that you're taking a record-setting dead cap hit to get rid of this dude, but replacing Russ with Bo Nix is going to prove to be a tremendous upgrade for the Denver Broncos at the quarterback position. I am really confident that Bo Nix is going to have a stellar rookie season for the Denver Broncos this year. I was strongly against the critics of the Bo Nix decision. Okay, I felt like Bo Nix going to Sean Payton was the best landing spot for any quarterback in the draft. Sean Payton is the true quarterback whisperer in the NFL. In 2019, when Drew Brees had to miss a couple of games due to injuries, Sean Payton went 5-0 with Teddy Bridgewater, who was a few years removed from suffering a devastating leg injury with the Vikings, where many of us questioned if Teddy Bridgewater was even going to be able to play football again. And yet, he went 5-0 under Sean Payton's tutelage and got paid a big bag by the Carolina Panthers following that season in free agency. How about when Sean Payton and his last season down in New Orleans had Jameis Winston playing turnover, mistake-free, efficient football with the 14-2 touchdown INT ratio, which led the league at the time, and he had the Saints at 5-1 on top of the NFC South before he went down with the injury. And even when his season got cut short, the Saints were still able to win 9 games with Trevor Siemian and Taysom Hill at quarterback. That's because Sean Payton is a great offensive mind. The reason why Russ failed in Denver had nothing to do, in my opinion, with Sean Payton's play calling. It had more to do with Russell Wilson being old, washed up, and he's regressing. He's 35 years old. His whole entire skill set has been his ability to get outside the pocket, extend plays, make guys miss, run around, and play backyard football. But to be able to sustain that playing style, you have to still maintain that high-end athletic ability, which Russell Wilson doesn't have anymore. Russ isn't good. The reason why he failed in Denver was because he was washed up. Sean Payton was able to win with Jameis Winston, Teddy Bridgewater, Taysom Hill. You really mean to tell me that he was the reason Russ failed? How about we just be honest about the situation and just admit that Russell Wilson wasn't good enough considering the amount of money he was getting paid? When Denver traded for Russell Wilson, the narrative at that time was that he was the missing piece to get the Broncos back in the Super Bowl conversation, a discussion they haven't been in since Peyton Manning retired in 2015, but instead, he proved to be a massive disappointment. Yes, Nathaniel Hackett was so god-awful that he ruined the whole entire team's performance, but getting Sean Payton in there helped Russell Wilson bounce back, and he still wasn't good enough. People keep throwing these stats at you, but these stats are meaningless. Russell Wilson had better stats than Jalen Hurts and Matthew Stafford, plus Lamar Jackson, who won his second MVP. But yet, we all know we would take those 3 quarterbacks over Russell Wilson right now. Bo Nix is going to execute the offense that Sean Payton wants to run. When you have Russell Wilson at quarterback, you have to run the Russell Wilson offense, which in 2024 is not a sustainable offense if you consider yourself a playoff caliber football team. The Broncos had problems, but one of those problems was Russell Wilson. He was scared to throw the ball downfield. He was a check down machine. He didn't throw the football in the middle of the field as much as what he should. He wouldn't get the ball out fast enough. Bo Nix does everything that Sean Payton wants out of his quarterback. You call the plays, he runs it to perfection. All right? Who cares if Bo Nix was a check down merchant? That's what Sean Payton wants. He wants a point guard. He wants an elite distributor of the football and somebody who's not going to turn it over. That's what Bo Nix gives you. He also is a fantastic athlete. You can use him on design quarterback runs, zone reads, read options, quarterback power. You're going to have an opportunity, if you're Sean Payton, to run a different style of offense similar to what you was running down in New Orleans. And you're going to be able to open the playbook up more because athletically, there are things that Bo Nix can do early on into his career that Russell Wilson is unable to do anymore. Russell Wilson is not going to be good in Pittsburgh. Bo Nix is going to look way better than Russell Wilson this season. Pittsburgh, with Arthur Smith being their offensive coordinator, his offense isn't a good fit for Russell Wilson. Just because he runs a play-action style of offense with Russell Wilson getting outside the pocket doesn't mean it's going to be a good fit. Russell Wilson isn't a good athlete anymore. He's not going to be able to outrun these edge rushers, and he isn't going to be able to break out of tackles and look like Houdini like we've been accustomed to seeing Russell Wilson look like the past decade or so. Quarterbacks regress all the time. Father Time catches up to you. Nobody's going to be able to sustain a high level of play for every year they play football. Even Tom Brady declined his final couple of years in the league. He needed more talent to be successful. Russell Wilson, at this point, is a shadow of what he used to be. People in the media want to villainize Sean Payton when this guy's track record speaks for itself. You want to try to be naive and be ignorant and say that Drew Brees made Sean Payton. What the hell are you talking about? Do you not remember what Drew Brees was when he first arrived to New Orleans? He was kicked to the curb by the San Diego Chargers. They didn't think he was that good. They questioned if he was ever going to be a solid quarterback coming off that shoulder surgery that he had to get. Nobody thought Drew Brees would be able to have a Hall of Fame career. A main reason for Drew Brees having the career that he did was because of Sean Payton. That's why Sean Payton has a winning record without Drew Brees. But nobody talks about that though. It's easy to throw out these casual takes when it is in the benefit of propping up Russell Wilson. He's not good anymore. Bo Nix is going to be way better than Russell Wilson this season. The Steelers are hoping that Russ is good enough to be better than what they had before at quarterback. But being better than Mason Rudolph, Kenny Pickett, and Mitchell Trubisky, 3 backup quarterbacks, low-end starters, isn't saying much when you're playing in the NFL's toughest division, home to 2 of the league's 3 best quarterbacks in Lamar and Joe Shiesty. Russ is washed up. You can call me a hater all you want to, but I'm not about to fall victim to this off-season optimism that Steeler fans want you to fall in line with. I'm a realist. I told you guys this when we signed Mitch Trubisky, he wasn't going to be good. And you guys tried to say, man, he was held back by Chicago. Instead of holding Russell Wilson accountable for his poor play under one of the greatest offensive minds in the league, you got to try to bring down Sean Payton's resume and his rap sheet when his resume speaks for itself. If he can win with Jameis Winston and have Jameis Winston playing turnover mistake-free football, he can win with Bo Nix. Russ was the problem, not Sean Payton. Sean Payton did everything he could to win with that washed-up grandpa. And it didn't work because the style of offense that Sean Payton was accustomed to winning with in New Orleans, he couldn't run down in Denver because Grandpa Russ wasn't able to run that kind of offense because that's not his skill set. I'm fed up with these BS excuses for Russell Wilson, and I can't wait for Bo Nix to outplay this dude this season. And when Russell Wilson ends up getting sent to the bench and replaced by week 7 for Justin Fields, I can't wait to come on here and tell you guys, I told you so. Trying to call me a hater when you guys did this same stuff when we signed Mr. Trubisky. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the Steelers thinking that you can win in the conference at home to the NFL's best quarterbacks with mid below average quarterback play. Mike Tomlin puts himself in these situations. You give Mike Tomlin props for being able to win with not great quarterback play when he's the fool responsible for not having these good quarterbacks. If the Steelers had Sean Payton this season, they would be in a way better situation than what they are under Mike Tomlin because Sean Payton elevates quarterbacks. Bo Nix, I think, has the second best chance to win Offensive Rookie of the Year this season, right behind Caleb Williams. Sean Payton is that good as an offensive mind. It's not about how good the player is necessarily all the time. A big part of determining how successful a young quarterback is in this league is based on the situation they go to and the head coach that they get. Patrick Mahomes was seen as the ultimate project when he was coming out of Texas Tech. But why is he an all-time great? Not only is he an all-time talent, but he went to an all-time great head coach who put him in the right scheme and the right system to develop him. That's the same situation kind of with the Denver Broncos and Bo Nix. Is Bo Nix the most talented guy in the world? No, he's not. But he is the best fit to run the Sean Payton offense. He's going to get the ball out fast. He's going to take what the defense gives him. He has a good enough arm to push the ball downfield, and he's a damn good athlete. The Broncos may not be that great this year, but they got a chance to exceed expectations and be better than what they were with Russell Wilson at the helm offensively because Russ' offense was incredibly limited because you could only do so much with them. Steeler fans are trying to do anything they can to prop up somebody that's washed up in hopes that maybe he can rewind the clock and give you a little bit of nostalgia. I literally had somebody make the excuse that ignore what Russell Wilson did his last 2 years in Denver. The hell are you talking about? Ignore the regression? Get real. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. Shout out to my guy, Kate Roan. He says, I heard Broncos wanted Aaron Rodgers and settled for Russell Wilson. Is that remotely true? It was. That's why they hired Nathaniel Hackett. Nathaniel Hackett was Aaron Rodgers' best friend, and they thought them hiring Nathaniel Hackett would have been a good driving point to initiate Aaron Rodgers wanting to get traded from Green Bay to Denver. But Green Bay didn't want to pull the trigger, and Aaron Rodgers had a pretty decent season that year. So they went ahead, they got Russell Wilson, which at the time, it looked like a great trade. But Nathaniel Hackett wasn't a great head coach. Sean Payton comes in, revitalizes Russell Wilson so much, and then gets rid of him because he wasn't good enough. I'd rather trust Sean Payton, somebody who's won with Jameis Winston and several numerous quarterbacks, than try to buy into the hope that Russell Wilson wasn't a problem. He was let down by one of the greatest offensive minds in the NFL history.